we in Bowie think that our practicing and doing and trying to find out the ways how the collaboration would work, and so the theme is much about that, and so we have all panelists are known, already spoken, except Caj. Could you a little bit introduce yourself?
I'm Caj Södergård. I'm a colleague of yourself at the VTT, the Technical Research Center in Finland. I've been there for a long time. A professor in digital services there, and I'm being now involved and also led the preparation for the fair about AI in Finland.
Okay, you can start already, like kind of you already make. So my first question is, how did you reach for the partners for the application and it's suitable? Did you use your own connections? Did you use platforms and other ways that and there were this problematic which old colleague other Harri told much about this problematic, who would win or who not. So how did you do that?
Yeah, so our in a way starting point was the Finnish Center for AI, FKAI. That is a body of excellence in Finland, has a big grant from the Finnish Academy of Science, and it's run by Aalto and the University of Helsinki and VTT. We are in there. So that was in a way the start, and the FKAI has been running already for several years, and they have close connections to the cities. For example, Helsinki, the city of Helsinki, and the city of Espoo and Vantaa, that are the three big cities in the capital area. And then we coupled in the Center for Scientific Computing, the CSC. So in a way it was utilizing the ecosystem that has been built for years, centered around the AI.
Mostly the thing is, what's interesting is that in the EDIH, the new feature is that how do you have to have in the application nominate the connections outside your own region to the other countries of the border. Yeah. How did you do that?
Yes, in that we also there, of course, I think like everybody utilized relations that you have had for a longer time. Our strategy there was really to reach out to the closest neighbors, because really to make it very realistic then, if we succeed and get the grant, that it's not it's easier to see each other physically. So we reach out, of course, to Sweden, Estonia, Norway, mainly. So very close cooperation with the EDIHs in these countries, centered on AI, and then also with a Belgium one in construction. And of course we have a lot of other relations, but and myself, I'm very active in several European associations for AI and big data and robotics on the board there. So we have very many others, but we in a way opted to select very few and then go for very deep cooperation with those, if we succeed.
Thank you. And for what concerns our digital innovation hubs, we used our old connections, old partners from other European projects, because all of us were active from years in Horizon projects, in European projects, and then we are part of the HiPEAC, the Federation of the Construction, the European Federation of Constructors. So for us, it was quite easy, I don't know if I can say it, to have connections, because we already take part in a lot of European events with European commissions, with our colleagues from all over Europe. So for us, it was quite easy to take communication with other EDIHs, such as a fair, or the Belgium one, the France, and others. And for what concerns our national hub, we used the connections we already had, our branches in Italy, because ANCE is all over Italy, so we could have connections with different companies, with public. We have a public body in our hub, so we use our connections, and we hope that our application will be fine so that we can start working. I don't know if my colleague wants.
That's fine.
Okay, same questions. We started of course, when we started building in Finland, we started, of course, close the border, or also as others mentioned already, that we're looking about who we already know. But then also we started thinking about maybe go further about that. We start to think about what we really want to building on. Like example, we have cybersecurity is our main subject where we focusing on. Then we start to think about where it is the cybersecurity in Finland. The best one is the DIHCUBE University. Of course, we want to be with them. Then we start to think about it. Who else? Who is also thinking about it? That is how we started in Finland. But after all, when we understand that, okay, we need also European Digital Innovation Hub. I coming from RoboCoast 2019. I don't have beforehand, of course, another European, of course, project. I've been in University of Tampere working on that time, but we are not connecting that kind of type of relationships. I started at the beginning. I have to building all my connection with the I don't have nothing connection. And I started building, and I'm proud of that because I have now 22 digital innovation hubs, which I connecting, and I'm proud of that. I take connecting example like Aida. I call her, and I said about it. I'm interested about your EDIH. Can we operate it? Can we do things together? Because I see it, of course, website. You see what you already do. I learn from websites. I read about a lot of websites, and then I take contacted when I get it contact information, and also this kind of seminars. You get a lot of contact information. Why not? To building on that. Then you see, because when I'm thinking about we don't see, this is the first time we see each other. And we are connecting now 2019, 20. That's what I'm saying. Only online. Yeah.
Tell me more about it. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I will not be able to add anything meaningful. So, besides what's already said, yeah, I'd say three things. The first is already existing personal contacts. You know those partners, you rely on them. You already have done lots of common things together. You know what to expect from them and what do not expect from them. So this is the first group. The second is a regional effect. As you said, so we were more looking for regional partners, and that was also the reason the idea of Baltic Sea region EDIH alliance, let's call it, yeah, to create, because that was with keeping in mind that when EDIH will be approved, we will be more tended to collaborate with those who are more near, those geographical proximity and the culture, the way of thinking, the way business is being done. It's more closer. And the third thing, so maybe some completely strange new edicts we were contacting based on values. Again, we saw them, explored maybe some websites, saw them in conferences, how they are speaking, what they are sharing, what are their preferences. And if we see that our values really are very close and we think the way they think, we do things in similar way, so we are contacting those organizations and saying, hey, the guys, you are doing a great things and a great job, and we would like to know more about it.
Okay. So what benefit you will be looking for, the most important for this interregional cooperation?
Okay, let's say two things again, two different pillars. The one is learning from each other, how to do things. That's very, very important, because edicts, this is something new. We don't know how to do it. What will be successful? What may be not? And so learning and discussing how to do things, how to deliver, and what services, what is working, what is not working. So this will ease lots of things. And the other is complementarity, looking for the services, looking for the competences, looking for the ways of doing business, what we don't own, but our companies might need it. So.
Yeah, very much the same, like Aiga said. So we obviously have a pre-discussion now. But so the complement, yeah, and then also not only complementarity. For example, with Sweden and Norway, we have partly. A lot, of course, of Nordic cooperation, where we try also to develop the AI around the languages. So we are planning workshops around NLP and because of course we have an interest in Finland of that also, and myself belonging to the Swedish-speaking minority here, and we in a way need a bit input from the other Nordic countries to, in a way, for example, building up the vocabularies for make it possible to have bots and other in Swedish. So that's one thing. And then, for example, with Estonia, Aiga, so they have the manufacturing very much in the focus, and they are partly also in AI, but we are planning with them also cooperation. Of course, everything is depending on if it gets approved, but anyhow, where we could think how AI can be applied in the manufacturing sector.
So actually, our benefits are very industry specific, as we said before in the presentation, because it's acquired knowledge and shared practices for us, because not only in terms of digital expertise, otherwise for technical expertise as well. But mainly for, yeah. Because what we need in such a traditional industry is contamination, because we know that like manufacturing actually is pretty advanced in terms of digitalization. So what we want to do is find a way to contaminate our industry to external expertise, because we know that outside Italy, especially so North Europe or Middle Europe, there are very advanced expertise that we want to import in our country. Thank you.
I have an extra question about this, if anybody wants to answer, because we see that this EDIH is much of also a regional or national in small countries. So they are heavily involved. Have you thought about this regional perspective in this beneficial? I mean, for example, in 6 in Tampere, the manufacturing is the main theme here. So we have been looking for manufacturing regions, which we know in first hand. And then, of course, there's a long-term collaboration in these traditional industry areas. So anybody comment on that? Regional.
Yeah. our EDIH fair candidates, we have said that it's mainly serving the southern of Finland, the southern Finland, and the capital region, of course, because most of the potential customers are there. So they are a majority of the startups in AI, and others are in the capital region, health and so on. And so that's one. But at the same time, we say that we serve the whole Finland. So it's like in many other things. So you have to strike a balance there. And for example, VTT, as you know yourself, so VTT is a national, so we have to serve the whole Finland, and so we cannot say that we are only serving the Otaniemi or Tampere.
Yes, earlier I mentioned about we are 9 region area, half of Finland, and of course we are looking for region area because as I mentioned about 22,800 is manufacturing companies totally in Finland, but then if you look about in our region area, 9,800 is for those 9 region area. Of course, we're looking about where they are, and 42% of them is coming from our area. That's also why we're building those areas in our EDIH, because there are our customers. And also in European level, if you look about it, of course, our partners who served manufacturing or that kind of things, that's important, of course, and that's we are focusing on, and that kind of partners is important. That, of course, we are also going to health tech side that way. That, as I mentioned about AI example, that if they need it about it, but we are talking about more robotic and cybersecurity side. In that we can serve also that, but we are also focusing on manufacturing side, and of course that's when you look about in area and region area, you need to know where those companies are. There you need to be near for customer.
Okay, thank you. This came just now. The one of the key factors is also that how this collaboration will be organized through the EDIH, because otherwise it will be just as business as usual. The researchers are talking to researchers, and development companies are talking to development companies, and the benefit stays there. So have you made any kind of organized effort, kind of a orchestration planning for this interregional cooperation?
Thank you. For what concerns Italy, we would like to have a common environment of digitalization. We don't make differences between our regions. We involve all over Italy, from north, the center, the south, and the islands. So we have to be close to the companies. And for what concerns the organization of the work, we have branches all over Italy. ANCE, as its office, has 110 offices all over Italy, and our branches are really close to companies, so that they can really get in touch with them and understand their doubts, their problems. So we hope we can be really close to them, and since our offices are all over Italy, we can stay in touch with them and then help them.
So that part is taken care of. How about how do you take contact across the border?
Okay, for what concerns across the border, our hub in Italy will work mostly as a company. It will have its own life with a secretary general and all other officers, which will have their own duties for what concerns the context, the organization of events, conferences, and even with other countries. The other hubs we are already involved, or maybe others and other companies from other places and nationalities.
Yes, you have a good luck that you have an already existing organization who can do this and have been doing probably.
Yes, because we have a long story of networking and collaboration with other European companies and trade associations. So our expertise.
Yeah, very much the same. So we have of course we will have an office, and that is in fact the city of Helsinki is now the coordinator, because VDT, we were originally the coordinator, but it was changed, and of course, but with the very many partners in our consortium has very strong international networks, and of course the city of Helsinki among those. So it will be our own fair office operated by the city of Helsinki, but then the city of Helsinki will use their own, of course, like in-kind services also for and including the international relations.
Okay. We will have 9 offices, like 9 resident areas. Every office is, if we get the financial support. And then also that we will contact with the European level. We will have the office like who is take responsibility for other European countries, not the Finland. And we concentrate. We will have one person that who do that kind of things. Of course, it depends also digitalization about it. Of course, we need digital services that we really connecting everything one place, that because of this is so huge thing that we are not, as Aiga mentioned about it, very nice picture that how we can serve many to many, that one person have 24 hours and sleeping and eating, and if you count maybe 8 hours in the work, then it's not enough for maybe companies. If it's like, if you calculate like a person's, that's we need to discuss about it. And I think that also the services need to be some kind of digitalization about it, and then use it AI, that you really get those services what you really needed about those companies.
So again, for the last answering the questions, a few things left to add. Actually, my impression is, and also so what we see from some researchers and articles and so on, that Europe in general, like whole Europe in general, is not very excellent at collaboration between industry and academia. So that's like this is something that Europe lagged behind, for example, United States. And I think this is something that will be EDIH's task for next 7 years, to do this community management. And we at our EDIH, we see this as our task, and I think, and I feel that this is something common for all of us, that we must pull together all the stakeholders and all the players and put on the same track and move forward. And I think that the same applies. If we can do our homework at our own communities, then we can also do it also on the collaboration among EDIHs on European level.
Do you want to? Yes.
No, just one to add.
Yeah, you please.
No, thank you. Just for our always for the industry sensitive aspect of our app is to share infrastructure, because for us in our proposal it was very important to say that we want to share infrastructure in terms of laboratories, testing sites with other apps and companies, and get the same from other apps. For instance, in Belgium, in Portugal, there are even test construction sites. They're very big, where it's possible to test machines, to test materials. In Italy, we don't have something similar, but we need. And then we can do the same with other kind of laboratories. So our arrangement of organization, it was to set which infrastructure we can share and get something from other apps, not only services.
This is also kind of a benefit which you are looking for.
Definitely, yes. Definitely, yes. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, maybe one comment yet is really relating to the common infrastructure. So we have, for us, these computing infrastructures are very central, and we have one of the biggest supercomputers now become ready here the Lumi computer that was on some slides here. And so we are cooperating with all our neighbor countries around Lumi, because they are partners of it also. And then also there is a Euro HPC consortium joint undertaking where we also try in a way to form a small group, subgroup, in a way, like you said, we might have think a bit maybe different because we are close to each other here, and so we are working together also in this European association.
Caj, you can answer the next one. It's actually that, have you thought about the business model for this infrastructure sharing, for example, and other cooperation? Because this is something which doesn't necessarily exist already, or is there kind of rule setting already with the members of the consortium or your regional, interregional kind of associates? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, we have discussed it when we prepared together with the EDIHs and in the Nordic countries and in Estonia. And of course, the Lumis, they have their own community and all kind of agreements, but it was also important for them to provide services to the SMEs. They are typically to the research part and the universities and so on, and they are very eager also to open this up now to industry. And in that context, I think the EDIH has a very important role to play.
Thank you. So, actually, we have just a concept of a business model for our app because we have a very heterogeneous consortium with university, companies, trade associations. So it was difficult to understand what was the best way how to manage the app and easy services. But actually, what we have proposed is to create a new own company with three main elements. One is governance, that it will be the expression of the consortium with a board of members and secretary general. Then an operation component that will be the people on the that will actually explain, offer, assess all the services of the hub. And the third component that actually is probably the most important in terms of innovation will be the scientific and technical clustering, because for us it's essential to keep reading what we need to innovate. So we need more than actually the stakeholders already involved in the hub. So we need something new. And this third component that directly goes into the governance in order then to put it, to transform this suggestion action, it will be something very dynamic and heterogeneous, where actually even that the hub is national, is local in some aspects. This board, we aim to have really European and international components in order to catch new ideas and new vision for our hub. Thank you.
Yes, we have also concept of that business model. Mostly services will be free. That's what we discussed about a lot. And then some services, of course, because some services also coming from companies. And then also what we discussed about it, that we should also think about it, how we produce about it, those services, because they're combining many of participants is delivering about those services, how we get, how we deal with that. And of course, but we also giving, like, we call it like open business model, that we think about it. That's concept level. Of course, we have already do something about it, but that still need to be discussed. And of course, if we go to another EDIH, part, I mean, that's also what we have been discussed about it, at how the services goes, at which, who will take the funds and that kind of things. That is not yet ready, those business models, because that's also is another things what we need to discuss about when we know who is those EDIH are.
Okay, about services and infrastructure, I would say these are three big topics under this main topic. The first thing is, what are the services for those 95% of companies? And I'm almost sure that they will not need supercomputer. But they will need some very down to the ground, very practical services. And I think all the SMEs in all the regions will need those basic services, and I'm quite sure that every EDIH will be able to provide those services by themselves. No need for corridors or attracting other EDIH resources. And then there may be the other marginal example is, I don't know, if some company comes and say, hey, can you build a spaceship for me? Maybe no, maybe no. But also we don't have such a budget for spaceship building. But most probably somebody else has at least something for in this area, and we certainly can refer this particular company to some other EDIH, which is really something very specific, something big, and something like powerful. And then is a third is very niche product, very niche services. Those may be not so technologically sophisticated, but still they are niche. I don't know, I can bring some very maybe stupid example. For example, if some farmers in Latvia decides that they will grow oranges, it's not a good idea, of course, but certainly we won't be able to help him with technologies or I don't know, some computer vision used for orange growing. Not really. So we would most probably refer them to, I don't know, Italy or Spain, or so where this competence is. So we are not going to start everything new because we don't have data sets, we don't have experience, we have nothing. So, but those are niche ones. Of course, computer vision, that's not anything like special as well nowadays, but still, it's a very niche. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what we discussed a lot was this really referring, in a way, passing forth a customer to another EDIH in another country. That means if you, for example, pass on to Finland, your Latvian company, that means that we will use the Finnish, in a way, EDIH support, the money to support the Latvian company. That's, I think that's it's like it should be. I mean, and it should be a balance there. So the Finnish, we could refer then the Finnish companies to Sweden or something. But really to get that to work in practice, that I think that takes time. And so I think we have to go step by step and start, like I said, within a country, and really there are a lot to do in marketing only, because the companies that do not. This is a fairly complicated structure, and I think it's a lot of marketing and informing work to do before the SMEs really will find the EDIH and know that they will get free services from there. But I think, okay, we have 7 years to go, so I think especially at the end, then it could be possible that it will flow over the borders also.
Thank you. There's an idea from the audience, a question maybe.
So I'm not involved in the European Digital Innovation Hubs. I'm coordinator of HiPEAC. No, I'm surprised. Who is not yet? But I'm involved I'm also a professor at Ghent University, and when I'm hearing all these stories, I'm asking myself the question, apparently for the European Digital Innovation Hubs, you focus on small companies that are not driven by technology and so on. In the place where I live, the city and university is not investing in these companies, they are investing in the scale-ups. Say, well, let's take a technology company and let's help that company, because if we do that, today there are 10 people, next year 20, 5 years from now there are 200 and they are active worldwide. While if you put all the money and you spread it thinly over all these small companies, you might end up 10 years later with the same 10 or 100 companies, and maybe instead of 9 people, they will have 10 people in the company. And then the question is, what's the best way to spend all that money? Should we spend it on companies that might not have the ambition to grow? Or is it better to support the companies that have the explicit ambition to grow, to become a unicorn, this kind of things? And then if you look at the needs of these companies that grow fast, they are completely different. They need support, but they will find their own support. They will, if they need help from a university on the other side of Europe, they will find them themselves, but they have a network. What they need is people, talent. So they need a university. Maybe if you have a fast-growing company, they might come to the university and say, can you create a degree for us? Because we would like to hire 20 people for you, engineering degree in a particular discipline. Can you create courses? Because we need your people. Last month, Johnson & Johnson decided to come to Ghent, the city of Ghent. They want to hire 1,000 people. So they asked universities, can you create degrees in order to train these people? So that's a completely different story. And then you create an ecosystem where you have a big company and then small companies start growing around it. And that's a completely different model. So I understand that European Commission wants to support all these small SMEs, but the question is, as somebody from the university, is this really something that we should put so much money into, and wouldn't it be better to create accelerators, incubators, this kind of stuff, to try to create ambitious companies that will start small, that size, but hopefully 10 years from now, there will be no longer be SMEs.
I have an addition to also that the 95% of the small SMEs, we learned from in the game industry, we learn here in Tampere that there are two aspects which relate to the growth of a game company, and I found out it is any company would they be there. There's a technological advance. They have the technology to do something, and they have a business-wise, they have a business model to doing, and this is about the team. That they have a business people there and a tech people. Tech people they tend to develop their technology and it'll never come to anything with the market. And then the business people are selling something, but they don't have the product. So we learned that if you wanna look for those who have a growth or potential, concentrate your efforts in this area where there's business-wise and there's a tech, both in balance in the company, and then others you can forget. They don't have any chance anyway. Otherwise, then they change their team and structure. So that is about the talents and skills also something.
And also about the ambition. So the business people and the tech people have to share the same ambition
to
grow the company.
Yeah, a very good point. But it's like it is. The Commission has, the digital decade, and they have very ambitious goals set for. So they want, if I remember correctly, 95% of the European SME to have a high digital intensity. I think they use that term now. 2030, and obviously they have a good analysis behind it. But what we have also in our consortium, we have not only we have also the big companies that will not get support. We have Microsoft and ABB and Siemens, so they are also associated partners. So they will not get support, but it's very important for them to be a part of the ecosystem, and also for them the skills and the talent that they can get from the research partners is very important, and they can then also support the SMEs and have them as subcontractors and so on. So that's. I think you need diverse ecosystems with startups, but you should remember that all are not startups. If we are talking about digitalization and AI, it's also important that for the SMEs to develop their internal processes and to do things more smartly, and that doesn't mean that they will explode into unicorns after 5 years or something, but they are at least staying on the market and becoming more competitive.
But my point is that if these companies, they can use some digital technology, but they don't have the ambition to grow. If tomorrow there is a very ambitious growing company, it will outcompete the small ones anyhow, because they will have superior technology, the ambition and so on, and they will wipe them out. There's nothing that can prevent this from happening. And so I think we should absolutely also help and encourage growth of fast-growing companies, and also that go internationally. I mean, well, I see after a few years they have international offices and so on, and they keep growing. And then they do an exit, they are acquired by a much bigger company and so on. But still, there's still a local presence. And for me, the best way to help them as university is to make sure that they have access to our students for internships, for master theses and so on. And then they hire the people. They are cheap, they are smart, they are ambitious because they are young, and that's how they grow. That's their. That's what they need really to grow fast.
That's also the key, how the existing companies can get the knowledge inside them to hire from the same sources.
Yeah. But for starting companies, it's even more important because they are cheap.
Yeah.
They are much cheaper than experienced people, and so
and they have the latest knowledge, or they should have that.
They have it, yes. Yeah. And they will not stay forever, but they are then, and also they like the vibe of a starting company.
Yeah.
With all the other ambitious people, so that works really well.
Yeah, thank you very much for a comment. I liked it very much, but and I will give some oversimplified reflection on that. So there is a technology demand and technology supply, and EDIC program decided that they will work on and put money into technology demand, so that we are putting money so that SMEs are demanding as the technologies. Your suggestion, I think, was put money in the technology supply part, scale-ups are supply part. And if they are growing, they will work harder to create demand, right? So that's another way how to look at the things. And it's actually a good question. So which approach is the better? But unfortunately, EDIC has chosen the first one. Yeah.
Well, I don't blame you to go after the money.
No.
But also, what do you think about it? Also, talent attraction. You need to think about it also to persons, like you mentioned about students, that I also been studied many universities, and I know they are different. And when you think about it, which universities are the quality where you go, but also when I'm thinking about it, we need to offer for university people to spin off. When they go to those kind of horizon project and those kind of things, I'm looking for they are bringing them to companies. They are then, because they have a new knowledge, they have a new technological things, and then also talent. And why we don't put it that kind of effort, and that is the one of the goal what we can do with the EDIC. Because they are going that kind of project, they learn, they are doing, but then when they have a startup, as you mentioned about it, you don't know, do they want to scale up? Do they want to really be a unicorn? That's another story, and that depends the people.
And now we are going a little bit overboard with the theme and into another interesting direction, and also the time is already kind of running like a moose in the Finnish forest or orientier. So now the conclusion, I have to wrap up something, is that I'm a little bit disappointed in a sense that but it's natural that how the selection of and the reach for the new for the inter-regional cooperation have been very traditional here, but it is always a trust to know and the work, and then of course there's possibilities that you can look for outside, but then you have to make a much better evaluation of the partners which you want to work in the future with your AD. And the benefit is it has been very also traditional. You try to find something which is complementing your own skills and your own knowledge, plus your infrastructure also, because that is infrastructure is a cost factor, and this is natural also that you don't want to do something two times in the same places in other places. So that's the kind of a natural efficiency there. The organization, how the interregional reach is very traditional. This is something which we in Bowie want to work with and find out ways and models how to make it kind of a more efficient and more kind of a equal also that all the kind of assets which we have inside our ED will be available to everybody. That needs the orchestration, so it doesn't leave just between a researcher to an old fellow, but it has to be something useful for everybody, and that needs an approach, and that we are studying. It's not ready yet, but we have to find models for that. That will help for you, I hope, that to organize yourself better in this way. The business models, I think that is a very complex thing, because there's so many organizations, so many price lists, so many how do you work with, who's going to pay for it. You said that it will be free. I doubt it's not free. Somebody is paying it for it at least now, but how in the future is the interesting question. Everybody is looking for that also, that how about in 10 years we have to be something like else. And that's about it. Interesting, and thank you for your views of this, for me at least, an interesting issue, and thank you for traveling here in Tampere. Thank you for audience and for being so many here. Don't show in the camera, but there are people there still at almost 5:30. So thank you.